Are we ready with online and everything else? All right, let me call the meeting to order. If we could stand for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We would like to consider the adoption of the agenda, and consent agenda is the order of business. And of course, if anybody wants to have anything taken off of that for discussion at a later time, we can do so. Do we have a motion and a second?
Move we adopt the agenda, the consent agenda?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. Then the approval of the consent agenda, which is made up of the minutes of the August 18th Board of Education meeting, the financial report for the period of July 1st through August 31st, and the bills for the period of August 1st through August 31st in the amount of $2,041,675.41. We have a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. Board and District Leadership Team Strategic Planning. Dan, do we have a legislative update?
The Legislative Committee will meet on the 21st, so that's next Monday, so we don't have an update as of right now. After that meeting and before the next board meeting, we'll have two, so we should have plenty of information at that time.
Okay, very good. A professional development update, Dina Budrecki.
Yes. Professional development truly never ended when the school year did. Throughout the summer, we had our teachers working on curriculum, but also we had a group that got together to work on technology needs, taking feedback from what we received from parents and also from staff. A pretty well-sized group of teachers from all levels got together, and we looked at that information and gathered where our greatest needs were to address those first, and then work as a team. We looked at needs for students, teachers, as well as parents. So we put together different resources, and the team had different roles of working off the strengths of each of the people. So some of them put together the techie piece of it, whether it be a video or a how-to or an image. Then they would share it with another staff member who would then say, I don't quite understand what you mean here. Could you give a little better explanation there? And then by doing that, we made sure that our resources were clear and understandable so that then we could share out. So towards mid-August, they shared out some of these resources to the district. And they were then able to take that and learn through those resources how to set up some of their resources in Google Classroom. We worked on creating a consistent look so that whether a family had a child in 4th grade, 8th grade, or 10th grade, they could go in and look at one of our resources and have the same look and feel and know where to find the resources. And they did it at all different levels as well. Some of the resources were just technical to help be more efficient with their time and with their practices. But overall, it was really well received by staff, and they found the resources easy to use, easy to access, to better prep and prepare for school. Next week, Friday, is our first PD day, and that group got back together again, and they helped to sort of solicit where some of our needs were right now. But also we looked at where are our strengths, which people in our district within the buildings are really successful at what they're doing, and how can we use their expertise and their successes to help our other teachers. So we've been putting together different sessions, and I think one of the cool things is, with all of that we're going through and all the changes, we're able to play off of where some of these resources help us to be more successful. So typically we've always gotten everybody together in certain buildings and had big groups and had to worry about the size of the group in the classroom. Well, now we can offer these resources virtually. So we can have a call center. If you just have a few little questions that you need to fix something, or you want to learn about a resource, we can do that and send a link out and have our teachers learn virtually but we can also record it so that if they had a different session that they wanted to attend, or they had a meeting they had to go to, that they could go back and learn that at a different time. We've also really focused on having experts, that certain people have an expertise in an area, and that's the person within your building that you can reach out to and sort of lean on when you need more help in certain areas. I just want to say a really big thank you to some of these people on the tech committee. I think it's important that they are noted. So at the elementary level, we have Bree McDonald, Sarah Fisher, Sarah Micklig, Shelley Taylor, Samantha Smith, Jackie Murphy, Olivia Lenser, Cassie Cotter, Jen Erdley. At the middle school, Tyler Gritt, and he is one of our leadership positions. Keely May, Kay Tharp, Jason Jacobs, Jen Biller, Roy Schwab, Todd Williams, and Sue Forsberg. And I think the other really interesting thing is that they're all very diverse in what their expertise area is, or the curriculum that they teach. So we're getting ready for Friday, and I think it'll be fun to be able to offer just a lot of different options in a variety of ways.
Any questions?
Thank you, Dina. Let's go down to number 6, which is the action to approve the memorandum of understanding for off-site facility use with the alternative education program. Dan?
Yes, we talked about this at the committee of the whole meeting. It was it's a memorandum of understanding for our usage of the building right next door, which is the New Life Congregational Church. And all of the details within the plan that we used last year, this is the second year of the plan, are the same as this year, all the same insurances and operational aspects and the rate for rent. They're all the same as the previous year. So in the memorandum of understanding, the only differences are the dates and the fact that we are going to be doing all of the same COVID mitigation strategies there that we do in this building. So that being said, you've seen it already, and so it just needs some action.
Do we have a motion and a second to approve it?
So moved. Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, just related, but feedback from the first year on that program, I mean, we're continuing it in this format. It's been positive?
It's been very positive. In fact, part of when we met for the committee of the whole meeting, part of what was said there was that at the end of this year again, there will be another presentation about how the program went again. And so from the first year, we had very strong results for the kids that were in that program.
Good.
About improving their educational outcomes and their future outcomes too. So we're very hopeful that that continues, and I'm pretty sure it will. We've got some dedicated folks that are working over there on that.
Good, good.
The amount of time there, are they doing an A/B, or is it all 4 days, 5 days, or what's that?
They've got all the different systems that are going there at once. They can have every day, they can have A/B, or they can have virtual. And they also have, in that area, they've got components with where it's feasible, where it's workable, off-site work parts of it. So there's job training and all those kinds of things all meshed in together. So the kids in that program have a plethora of options.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no. All right, the finance, buildings and grounds, and we need to approve the 2021 budget, which will be officially published for the annual meeting. And so Amy Williams, if you would take it from here.
Sure. So I'm just going to recap everything that we went over at the committee of the whole meeting. We ended our 1920 fiscal year with an addition of $387,395 to our fund balance, which brings our fund balance up to 6.9 million. Again, it's important to remember that that's not a savings account. That is there to help us in the fall so we don't have to short-term borrow. That fund balance is a very good, healthy balance, so we're at a good point with that. Our 2021 budget is really designed to prepare for and anticipate additional COVID expenses that may occur throughout the year. The changes in this budget are, we were unable to offer our summer school program this past summer. So sadly, that reduced that expense line item by over $200,000. We replaced teachers that left employment due to retiring or, resigning, going somewhere else, and brought in new teachers for that. We added a nurse. We added 5 new teacher aides. We added 2 full-time custodians. They are budgeted in there. We do not currently have them in-house, but the funds are there in the budget should we need that. We added 5 long-term subs, and we included an approximate loss in food service of $70,000. Again, that's just an approximate. We're anticipating selling fewer lunches this year. Perhaps our revenue will go down. Food service lost money last year, so their fund balance isn't enough to cover the projected loss, but we're hoping that it doesn't happen. But it's worst case scenario, so the budget that you're approving has hopefully everything anticipated. There are 2 capital projects in the budget, the Horizon windows and the pool boiler, which those were approved last fiscal year to come out of fund balance. However, they weren't completed by June 30th, so they're an expense line item for this fiscal year. The end result is a projected deficit of $504,591, which I know seems high, but if you break it in half, $250,000 is capital projects. The other $254,000 is our operating deficit. And that deficit is not an unusual amount for our district. Which is great because we're facing a really unusual year. So we'll continue to be fiscally responsible and manage the budget as we always have. Typically, we don't spend everything that we have budgeted. So if it remains that way this year, then we would end the year without a deficit. But right now, the projected deficit is the 504,591. And at this point, our mill rate is projected to decrease from $8.71 last year to $8.61 this year. Any questions?
The $250,000 capital expense is really just a paper thing because we already have the money for that from previous property sale. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, if this budget still, if we ended the year exactly with a deficit of 504, that entire 504, 591 would come out of our fund balance, which is what was approved for the capital projects anyway. So say we underspend our budget by 250, we would take out, or by 254, we would take out 250,000 out of fund balance to cover those capital projects. So it's just a formality thing because it wasn't completed before June 30th. So we will be expensing it, we'll be paying it in this fiscal year, so we need to include it in the budget.
Right, but it's technically a carryover from last year. So
Yeah.
the real operating deficit that we're talking about is $250,000. That's the real deficit that we're projecting for this year. We just have a carryover from last year that will hit our books. It gives you that 500,000 number, but it's a 250,000 operating deficit is what we're looking at.
Correct. So given everything that we've been able to add and how the year played out, that's, you know, a normal amount that I know that we've had before.
Yeah, as long as I've sat in this chair, I think we always have a projected deficit of somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
All right?
Questions or comments? Could we have a motion to approve the publishing of this budget?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second,
Second.
and all in favor say yes,
Yes.
and opposed say no. Okay, we need to take action on gifts and budget adjustments. Dan?
Yes, we have some gifts to report, and we have one gift to report at this time. We had a donation of approximately 600 books from Bookheads in Plymouth, and so we're very thankful to them, and our students will enjoy reading them.
Very good. Do we have a motion and a second to accept this and the corresponding budget adjustment?
We accept the books, and I hope the kids enjoy them.
And I'll second that.
Very good. So with appreciation, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no. Did we have anybody sign in for public participation? Doesn't appear to be. So that brings us to board liaison reports. Community ed, Sally, what's happening?
The fitness center is still up and running. If anybody wants to participate in that, call and get yourself signed up for a slot. And also the aquatic classes are hopefully going to be opening either late September or the beginning of October. So gradually, they are trying to bring the people back into the community ed cautiously, safely. And if you have any questions, look at the newsletter or go to the website. Any questions?
Thank you, Sally. Bob, what's happening in the foundation?
The foundation is doing the good work that they always do, and looking for more mini grants applications as well as the large grant application. We're also contemplating the possibility of a virtual fundraiser if we can identify specific needs related to the school, and we're coordinating with the school to see what we might identify and then potentially put together some sort of virtual fundraiser to try to enhance or try to execute then a program here at the school that'll enhance the learning opportunities. So still up in the air, a lot of discussions about what makes the most sense, and if that would happen, it'll be later this year, November timeframe probably. So that's what we have.
Questions? Thank you, Bob. Dan, tell us what's happening in the Family Resource Center.
Sure, I'll announce a few events that the Family Resource Center unveiled for their September, October, November, and December 2020 season. A lot of these events are being offered in different ways, both virtually and in a safe distance manner on site. Some are even held at your own home. So some of the events that they're having, which have been held before, is Parenting the Love and Logic Way, which is a way of helping parents understand how to discipline their children or grandchildren. Tummy Time Together, Crafts Holiday Gifts, and their typical annual screening event, and that's for children 6 months to 3 years. You can get more information by emailing pat@frc-sc.org or visiting their website at www.familyresourcesheboygan.org. And look forward to seeing you there. Thank you. That's it.
Any questions for Dan? Thank you for your reports. These are all very important partner organizations for us that are involved in much of the same work we are, or helping support us as we do that work. So that brings us down to personnel, and we have a number of contracts to approve, and then Dan, you can report on the support staff that you've hired.
Yes, we have a lot of contracts for you to approve, so we'll do them in the teacher group for one action item, and then there's a director for another action item, then of course just the report for the support staff. As was mentioned in our budget outlook for this year, there were a number of positions that were approved by the board to deal with COVID anticipated expenses. Many of those are in this contract list, so bear with us, there's a lot of contracts. So first of all, we'll start with the teacher group, and we'll do one action item at the end of these. Consider the approval of a 100% contract for Kelly Drews to be a kindergarten teacher at Fairview Elementary School for the 2021 school year. Kelly received her bachelor's degree from Silver Lake College. This will be Kelly's 18th year in teaching. Then consider the approval of a 100% contract for Brianna Damcott to be kindergarten teacher at Parkview Elementary School for the 2021 school year. Brianna received her bachelor's degree from Holy Family College. This will be Brianna's first year of teaching. Then consider the approval of a 100% contract for Anna Teofilo to be a second grade teacher at Horizon Elementary School for the 2021 school year. Anna received her bachelor's degree from the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh. This will be Anna's 6th year of teaching. Consider the approval of a 100% contract for Emily Guy to be an 8th grade teacher at Riverview Middle School for the 2021 school year. Emily received her bachelor's degree from the University of Wisconsin-Green Bay. This will be Emily's 5th year of teaching. Consider the approval of a 100% contract for Christopher Carpin to be a math teacher at Plymouth High School. Christopher received his bachelor's degree from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. This will be Christopher's 9th year of teaching. And then consider the approval of a 50% contract for Abigail Price to be a virtual teacher for the Plymouth School District for the 2021 school year. Those are all the teacher contracts, which would require an action.
Okay, let's have a motion and a second to approve these teacher contracts, letters A through F on our agenda.
I move we approve the teacher contract A through F on the agenda.
And I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor say yes,
Yes.
and opposed say no.
And then we have one director position, and she's here with us this evening. Consider the approval of a 100% contract for Karen Johnson to be the food service director for the Plymouth School District. Karen has been the school district chef for 7 years.
And do we have a motion and a second to approve Karen's hiring to be the food service director?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions? I just have a question on the difference between the chef and the food service director.
You want me to answer that one? The chef and director, we've had two positions since I was hired for the position 7 years ago. The chef is a position that replaced a head cook position that we had for many years, but also had some additional responsibilities, partially administrative, and helped the director in those positions. And then we have our food service director, which has always been a position that's been current, which is the main administrative role for the department.
Okay, very good, thank you.
So will we continue to have that chef role as well? Or-
Yes, we do.
Okay.
It has already been?
It's already been filled.
Yes.
Okay.
We are efficient in this month of August.
That's great.
All in favor, say yes.
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 Opposed, say no. Very good, well, congratulations.
Then we have a support staff update, no action recorded on any of these. Laurel Red Cloud, a cook server at Fairview Elementary School, has resigned. Laurel has served the district for 1 year. Christy Lair, special education aide at Plymouth High School, has resigned. Christy has served the district for 2 years. Jordan Raspelji, a special education aide at Fairview Elementary School, has resigned. Jordan has served the district for 1 year. Teresa Boulin, special education aide at Fairview Elementary School, has resigned. Teresa has served the district for 2 years. Pamela Emmer, payroll coordinator for the Plymouth School District, has resigned. Pamela has served the district for 1 year. Then the additions, Jesse Brandel has been hired as a school nurse for the district. Jesse Jasinski has been hired as a custodian at Plymouth High School. Tricia Hansen has been hired as a custodian at Horizon Elementary School. McKenna Gilhuber has been hired as a custodian at Fairview Elementary School. Kay Magnus has been hired as a special education aide at Plymouth High School. Dominic Kowalczyk has been hired as a special education aide at Parkview Elementary School. Haley Barber has been hired as a special education aide at Horizon Elementary. Shelley File has been hired as a special education aide at Horizon Elementary. Gina Sullivan has been hired as a teacher's aide in the cozy room at Riverview Middle School. And again, the cozy rooms are the additional nursing station for students with any kind of COVID-like symptoms. Tamara Ringel has been hired as a teacher's aide in the cozy room at Parkview Elementary. Karen McHugh has been hired as a cook server at Fairview Elementary School. And Janet Chapman has been hired as a cook server at Riverview Middle School. So lots of hires and lots of moving around, but really feeling confident that our positions are filling with some wonderful people.
Well, good work. Thank you. And we have nothing taken off the consent agenda. For my president's report, one of our responsibilities as a school board is community engagement, and that's also one of the pillars of our school system. But to be able to communicate well and to receive feedback from our community. And I think we'd like to just say thank you for your patience and understanding during this season of great changes, but I think it's going very smoothly from all that we can tell. And one of the things that we received feedback on was about fee changes. And I know there had been some thought about that within the school administration already, but when we were going through the graduation situation, so at that same time, people had asked us about fees. The parking fee has been halved because students are only here in half the time, and then our what they call the S&A, the Social and Activities Fund. They're taking a look at that, and it's too early to really figure out how much of that is gonna be retained, but to be fair for people as much as possible. So I say that because that's in part from feedback from the parents of the community, and we try to be as responsive to that in our community engagement, and appreciate the administration that sees the value of doing stuff like that. So we as a school board, we as an administration want to engage the community, and we appreciate all of the feedback, whether it's critical or constructive. In either way, we need to hear what's being said. So we thank you for community, for your patience and understanding, but also for your feedback that is very critical to us making choices and decisions. So that's what I wanted to say in our president's report.
Thank you, Richard. And it absolutely is right in line with what I was thinking about for the superintendent report, which is, again, to our families and our community, to the staff, to the kids, thank you for such a wonderful start to a totally off-the-wall world situation. There were questions that we had in the committee of the whole, how are kids doing in school? And kids are doing very well, and they're working through the classes in the way that they're supposed to, and they're staying socially distanced and all of those things. It's wonderful. But any of you parents out there who have ever picked your children up from school know the issues about driving through the circles and getting the children and picking them up, and sometimes our tempers get out of control, and all of those things happen. But I think the patience that's been demonstrated by everybody, even though we've changed everything at every school about pickups, the times, the spots, the where the children are. It's all changed. And people are really doing a wonderful job of adjusting to those changes and giving grace to one another when, you know, it's all new for everybody. So I just wanted to say thank you as well to everybody. And again, to our staff for working through all of their changes as well, and doing it with grace and understanding for everybody in their care. So been a wonderful start and to a wild year. And so I've got a couple of notes here about some student and staff accomplishments, and then some dates to follow up with. So related to our new and different year, we've been trying to have activities and the fee that you were just mentioning, and hoping people understand where we are, and we're not sure how much and when things will happen. Well, here's some good news that we have to share, is that the one-act play this year will be held 100% virtually, so we can begin working on our one-act play. And you can conceive of that, right? Because you can do your performances virtually and distanced and ship those off on Zoom or whichever recorded way you would like to do it, and still the judges can see it, and never as good as it is in person probably, but still the one-act play can get underway. So that was one thing that I was really excited to hear about just today, so I thought I would mention that. We're still moving forward, and we've got some of the performing arts even getting out there. And in fact, yesterday I took a little video of our choir out singing against the building on the south side, getting the nice echo effect coming back to them. And so outside, socially distanced, singing, wonderful. Jamie sent me a message, Jamie Poinkowski, our communications person in the district, gave me a message about the fact that we have now, we had a very short time period where we were able to get the information to the middle school parents and families that we were going to be able to have some safe, socially distanced after-school activities, cross-country and volleyball, and in a very short period of time, everybody pulled together. As a result, we have 5th through 8th graders signed up for cross-country, 75 of them. And we have 36 girls signed up for 7th and 8th grade volleyball. So they actually have their season openers Thursday, the 17th. So it's going to be a very different season, but they're still having some activities, which is really nice. Then just an example of emails that we've received, and to be fair, people have given us feedback when there have been problems, and we really work to solve those, and we do want feedback where if people are having issues, and we'll solve and work on those problems. But just we've had a lot of feedback too from people who are pleased with the way things are going. Here's an example from a parent. I just wanted to send our thanks to you and the planners of Plymouth's back to school protocols. We've been impressed so far with the hybrid process. This is a high school parent. It certainly took great care and thoughtfulness to come up with the rotation plan that's being used. And the fact that they are focused on a half a day at a time is genius. There's not really been any stress at our house about schoolwork this week, and I know that they were expected to do a full day, if they were expected to do a full day of classes online and then homework at night, that would not have been the case. In a less than ideal situation, needing to do virtual some of the time, this is pretty good. I think that's good. That's a good compliment. This is pretty good. Yeah. It's also going to be an easy transition if we have to go fully online at any time. We really hope that the teachers are feeling good and confident and not overburdened about doing school this way for now. And so I just wanted to also mention that the PHS squad, the group had a scheduling team that worked, as you knew, when I was giving my updates about the reopening plan starting way back in June already, like what are we gonna do and what's it gonna look like? There was a team, and I just wanted to recognize that team that came up with the different options that you were presented with, and looked through so many of those details. And that team consisted of Greg Gritt, Jason Jacobs, Jeremy Ross, Meredith Herrera, Jason Sobranic, Mitchell Tempest, Brad Fike, Megan Rickmeyer, and Jennifer Biller. And I know he didn't put his name on here because he sent the email to me, but Andy Novak led that group without a principal, just by himself for that entire summer, so he did a great job with that. And then Dina mentioned the tech group, and so they did a wonderful job as well. And then one final thing, we have some activity, actual results to report, the things that are actually going on already. Girls cross country won the Sheboygan Falls invite, with Maggie Munson taking first place individually. Boys cross country took second place at the Sheboygan Falls invite, with Jacob Gruntner taking first place individually. The girls tennis team is off to a 3-0 conference start. The girls swim and dive team competed in their first meet last week in Kohler, taking second place. And boys soccer has their first home game today. It was going on earlier, and they're here. So things are happening, kids are having some activities. So I'm super pleased about that. We've got some upcoming events. The board meeting next month is the 12th for the committee of the whole. That's at 5:30. And then the annual meeting, that will be scheduled at the old regular time of 7 o'clock. That's when the meeting will start. And so that will be on October 20th. And one other note, because things are constantly changing this year with teams that were able to play and not able to play, or, the one-act play, where is it going to be, and where can we view it, and those kinds of things, all of that is on our webpage. If you go to our webpage, families out there, you go to the Students and Families tab, click on that, drop down to calendars, and then underneath in calendars, you'll find everything with sports, performances, all of that. So it's students and families, and then calendars. And those things are constantly being updated because they are still changing. And I would anticipate that all year.
Great.
That's it.
Thank you, Dan. Well, that completes our agenda, with the exception of a motion to adjourn. Do we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much.